Do you know that feeling when someone disrespects you so casually, so confidently, that they genuinely expect you to just take it? Yeah, that's exactly what happened when the house flippers next door decided my front yard was part of their construction site. They tore through my lawn, mocked me to my face, cracked my windshield, stole my property, and then, months later, showed up begging for mercy. But by then, I was already committed to making their lives absolutely miserable. If you've ever dealt with neighbors from hell, shady contractors, or people who thought they could bully you because they assumed you wouldn't fight back, hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around, because this story is one long, slow-motion revenge that cost these house flippers way more than they ever expected. So here's what happened. Several months ago, the house next to mine went up for sale. Now, normally, I wouldn't care. New neighbors come and go. But within days, it became obvious this wasn't a family buying the place. It was a flipper. And if you've ever lived next to one of these rushed renovation projects, you already know the type. Cheap cosmetic upgrades, contractors everywhere, dumpsters in the driveway, fake wood flooring slapped over uneven subfloors, grey paint on literally everything. The house sold almost immediately, and the very first morning the contractors showed up, the chaos started. I came home from work exhausted, parked my little Honda Civic in front of my house, like I always did, stepped out onto the street, and immediately froze. Mud everywhere. Thick brown sludge smeared across the road. Deep tire tracks gouged through the sidewalk. And then I followed the tracks with my eyes and realized something that made my stomach drop. Those idiots had driven a skid loader straight across my front lawn. Not near it. Not accidentally clipping the edge. Straight through it. My grass was shredded into muddy trenches because they decided my yard was apparently the fastest route to place a porta potty beside the house. I just stood there staring at it for a second, keys still in my hand, feeling that hot pulse of anger climb from my chest straight into my skull. Then I lost it. I stormed over there while the contractors were still unloading equipment. What the hell do you think you're doing? Every single guy on that site suddenly became very interested in avoiding eye contact. I was pointing at the lawn, at the tire tracks, at the mud all over the sidewalk. One guy tried pretending it wasn't a big deal, which honestly made me even angrier. Not a big deal. You don't get to destroy somebody else's property and decide how upset they're allowed to be about it. Eventually one of them handed me the contractor's number. I wanted the owner's number. I wanted the house flipper himself. But fine, contractor first. I called him immediately. And somehow, this guy actually argued with me. Tried telling me they barely touched my yard. Barely touched it. There were skid loader tracks running through my lawn like a tank division had crossed it. Then the porta potty company started arguing too. Acting like I was overreacting. That's when I realized something important. None of these people respected me. To them, I was just the annoying neighbor they could ignore until the project was done. So I decided to become impossible to ignore. The next morning, I parked my Civic directly in the exact unloading spot they'd used for the skid loader. If they wanted to unload heavy equipment there again, they'd have to do it somewhere else. Then I drove my truck down to Lowe's. And this is where the petty revenge journey truly began. I bought a giant wooden stake, a bright nitrogen monoxide trespassing sign, and I planted that thing right on my property line like it was a declaration of war. The contractors noticed immediately, and they hated it. For the next week and a half, I intentionally left my Civic parked there and only drove my truck out of pure spite. Every day I'd come home to more garbage blowing into my yard. Dust masks, food wrappers, paint rags, and every day I'd overhear the contractors laughing. Oh, his property lines are wrong. That sign's probably on OUR side. You know that smug, mocking tone people use when they think you're powerless. Yeah, that tone. But I kept the sign there. And then one morning, I walked out to my car and saw a massive crack running across my windshield. Not a tiny chip. A full spiderweb fracture stretching from one side to the other. Now technically, I couldn't prove they did it. But let's just say, it was an incredible coincidence that my windshield randomly exploded while my car sat directly in front of a group of angry contractors who already hated me. I remember standing there staring at the crack, while the morning sun reflected through it, thinking, you know what? Fine, you want petty. I can do petty too. Months passed. Eventually the contractors finally cleared out, and honestly, the silence felt incredible. No more nail guns. No more shouting. No more trash blowing into my yard. Then the for sale sign went up. Thank God. I figured the nightmare was finally over. But I left my no trespassing sign up anyway. At this point it wasn't just a sign anymore. It was a message. And every single potential buyer who toured that freshly flipped house had to see it. They'd pull up to this newly renovated property, and right next door was my beat-up multicolored Civic with a shattered windshield and a weathered no trespassing sign flapping aggressively in the wind. It looked terrible, which was exactly the point. Then one day, I came home from work and noticed something immediately. The sign was gone. Gone. Somebody had walked onto my property and stolen it. That was the moment I officially snapped. I marched inside, grabbed my phone, and called the realtor company selling the house. Now, to be fair, the receptionist who answered wasn't responsible for any of this, so I really tried to stay calm. But my blood pressure was already through the roof. I told her very clearly, tell your realtor to get a surveyor out here, mark the property lines, return my sign, apologize, and after that, the contractor can come back with a sod truck, fix my lawn, and apologize too. There was a long silence. Then she carefully asked if I wanted the realtor's direct number, and I remember saying, that is probably not a good idea with how angry I am right now. Then I hung up. A couple days later, on a Sunday, I decided if they wanted a property line war, I'd give them one. I drove back to Lowe's, bought bright orange paracord, bought another no trespassing sign, and when I got home, my original sign had magically reappeared. No apology, no explanation, nothing, which told me everything I needed to know. They'd stolen it, then panicked when I called. But at this point, I didn't care anymore. I still hammered in the new sign. Then I ran that bright orange paracord all along the property line like a crime scene perimeter. It was impossible to miss. Ugly, obnoxious, perfect. A few days later, something else happened. My Civic got reported to code enforcement as abandoned. Now if that sounds suspiciously timed. Yeah, I thought so too. Luckily for them, I actually drove the thing every day. So I called code enforcement myself, explained the situation, and thankfully the guy on the phone was cool about it. The complaint got removed immediately. But by now, the pattern was obvious. Every time I made life harder for the flippers, some mysterious problem suddenly appeared for me. Except here's the thing they never understood. I wasn't trying to make money. I wasn't trying to win legally. I just wanted them miserable. And eventually, it worked. Because one afternoon, I came home and found a note taped to my front door. Not from the realtor, not from code enforcement, from the contractor himself. Suddenly, this guy wanted to apologize. Suddenly, he wanted to make things right. And the best part, he was offering me $500 if I would please remove the no trespassing signs so they could sell the house easier. $500 after months of disrespect, after destroying my lawn, after the trash, after the windshield, after the stolen sign. Now they cared. Now they wanted peace. I remember laughing out loud reading that note, because the reality finally hit me. That stupid little sign was costing them money. Every potential buyer saw tension next door. Every buyer saw conflict. Every buyer saw a neighbor who clearly hated the people selling the house. And that beautiful flipped property suddenly didn't feel so perfect anymore. That sign became the one thing they couldn't renovate away. And honestly, that was the most satisfying part of all of it. Not yelling, not fighting, not even the revenge itself. It was watching these people slowly realize they couldn't bully everyone into silence. Because some people will absolutely spend months making your life difficult, and then act shocked when you stop cooperating. To this day, I still haven't decided if I'd take the money. Part of me wants to tell them to kick rocks and let that house sit there bleeding cash for months. Because after everything they put me through, watching them panic over a stupid sign feels like the first real apology they've ever given me. And honestly, that might be worth more than $500. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. Sometimes it's not dramatic. Sometimes it's just refusing to make life easier for people who treated you like dirt. And somehow, that drives them absolutely insane. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. Would you have taken the $500 or kept the signs up out of pure spite? And if you've ever had nightmare neighbors or dealt with entitled contractors, I want to hear your story too.